If you close your eyes and think back to the winters of the 1960s and 70s, what's the very first thing that comes to mind? Is it that biting, unforgettable cold? A cold so real, it didn't just knock on the window pane, it came right inside, painting beautiful fern-like patterns of ice on your bedroom window. A cold so deep that seeing your own breath clouding the air was as normal as seeing the sun rise. If that memory just sparked something in you, then you've come to the right place. Today, we're not just listing facts. We are unlocking a time capsule of 12 incredible, ingenious, and sometimes downright hilarious ways we all survived the Great British Winter. Stick with me, because we'll even reveal the secret of the humble garden brick that became our very own personal heating system. The bedroom's icy embrace. Let's start our journey in what was often the most beautiful and coldest room in the house, the bedroom. For anyone born after 1980, the idea of a bedroom without any heating is almost science fiction. But for us, it was just reality. So how did we sleep? We built a nest, a magnificent fortress of bedding, layered with strategic precision. A cold cotton sheet, followed by a battalion of heavy woolen blankets and crowned with a mighty eiderdown or a quilt that felt like it weighed a ton. The pressure was immense, pinning you to the bed in a secure, comforting way. You couldn't move much, but you didn't want to. Of course, this cold came with a very fashionable, if painful, accessory. Chilblains. Yes, those angry, red, and incredibly itchy swellings on your fingers and toes. It was like your body's own grumpy way of decorating itself for winter. In the schoolyard, you could almost have a competition to see who had the most impressive purple-looking toes. The indoor overcoat. The idea of wearing your big, thick outdoor coat inside the house seems absurd now, but it was our unofficial winter uniform. The house had a very simple thermal map. The living room was the tropics, and everywhere else was the North Pole. So the coat stayed on. You'd sit at the kitchen table, trying to do your homework, your fingers so stiff you could barely hold a pen, still wrapped in your coat and scarf, eating your cornflakes in the morning, bundled up like you were about to climb a mountain, was just a normal Tuesday. The cold created its own indoor weather system. Remember the walls literally crying with condensation? You'd have rivers of moisture running down the wallpaper in the mornings. It was a daily battle with a dishcloth, trying to stop your house from developing its own private, musty-smelling rainforest in the corners. The sacred hearth. In the evenings, the fireplace was more than just a source of heat. It was the center of the universe. The entire family would orbit around it, drawn in by its warmth and glow. There was a strict, unspoken hierarchy to the seating plan, a game of thermal musical chairs. Dad got the armchair, right in the blast zone, of course. Everyone else arranged themselves nearby, trying to catch a stray ray of heat. This led to the famous human rotisserie technique, slowly turning every 10 minutes to toast both your front and back evenly. After years of faithful service, the fire would leave its signature. Many of us will remember that faint, smoky tide mark on the wall above the fireplace. It wasn't dirt, it was a badge of honor, the ghost of 1,000 cozy winter evenings, forever imprinted on the home. The war on drafts. An invisible, whistling enemy was always trying to breach our defenses. The draft. It was a sneaky invader that would slither under doors, creep through window frames, and even attack through the keyhole. So every night, we went to war. The main weapon? Rolled-up newspapers stuffed firmly into the gap under the door. For the posh families, there was the treasured sausage dog draft excluder, Every gap was a betrayal, a leak that had to be plugged. Often the prettiest parts of the house were the worst traitors. Remember those lovely patterned glass panels in the front door? They looked beautiful, but they were basically decorative holes, letting in a lovely patterned breeze to chill your ankles as you walked down the hall. The humble, hot brick. A hot water bottle was a dear friend, but it was a friend who fell asleep on the job after a few hours. For a truly loyal all-night companion, we turned to a piece of high-tech equipment from the garden, a brick. While dinner was cooking, a brick would be placed in the oven to charge up. By bedtime, it was a glowing ember of potential warmth. Wrapped carefully in an old towel, a very important step, as many a singed sheet could testify, it was placed at the foot of the bed, pure, radiant bliss for frozen toes. For those with an Aga or a similar range cooker, this was even better. The Aga was the king of the kitchen, a gentle giant that never slept. Its bottom oven was the perfect charging station for the bed brick, letting it brew to the perfect temperature all day long. The epic of bath night. The luxury of a hot bath was an event that required planning worthy of a royal visit. There was no instant hot water. It was a feat of engineering and manual labor. It meant boiling kettle after kettle, creating a constant steam train between the kitchen and the bathroom. Because of this monumental effort, the concept of one person, one bath was laughably wasteful. The whole family shared the water, playing a game of diminishing returns where the last person in got a lukewarm human soup. But hey, it was wet and warmish. Many homes had an immersion heater, which made a very specific noise. You'd switch it on and hear the dragon in the cupboard slowly waking up with a rumbling, kettling sound. The sheer panic when you realized you'd forgotten to switch it on an hour before bath time was a real household-level crisis. The art of layering, put a jumper on, was not a suggestion. It was the law. You didn't control the temperature of the room. You controlled the temperature of your body by adding or subtracting layers. We were all masters of this sartorial art. An indoor winter outfit was a complex structure, a vest, a shirt, a jumper, a cardigan. It was like being your own walking, talking onion. There were levels to this layering game. If you owned a shirt made of Viella, that magical, soft blend of wool and cotton, you were basically winter royalty. It was warm but not scratchy. Wearing Viella meant you had truly made it. It was the fabric equivalent of having a color television. Fueling the body's furnace food was our internal central heating system. Winter meals were designed to be hot, heavy and fortifying, providing the calories needed to fight the cold from within. Think of glorious stews, suet puddings, and thick soups that you could stand a spoon up in. A steaming bowl of porridge wasn't just breakfast, it was your first defense of the day. And hot drinks were the lifeblood that kept us going. The secret ingredient for much of this hearty food was beef dripping. This liquid gold, carefully saved from the Sunday roast in a special pot, was used for everything from frying chips to spreading on toast. The rich, savory flavor was magnificent. But trying to explain a dripping sandwich to a young person today is a truly fun and baffling experience. The sensible early night. Simple maths, sitting in a cooling room burns expensive coal. Lying in a warm bed burns zero coal. The solution was obvious. Winter meant early nights. The whole family might be heading up the stairs by 9 p.m., not because of tiredness, but because it was the most logical, warmest place to be. This is probably why so many of us became such avid readers, tucked up in our blanket fortress with a good book. This was especially true during the power cuts of the 3-day week in the 70s. When the lights went out at 9 p.m., it was forced family fun by candlelight for about 5 minutes before everyone just gave up and went to bed. It was the government's unofficial, go to bed, it's warmer there, policy. The scent of paraffin. For a little extra heat, many of us turned to the portable paraffin heater. These trusty contraptions could make a chilly room bearable, but they came with their own signature fragrance. That oily, distinctive smell of paraffin was the official perfume of winter. You either loved it or hated it, but nobody can forget it. These heaters were so common, their brand names became the noun. You didn't turn on the paraffin heater. You'd say, "Mum, can you light the Valor?" Or, "Dad, the Aladdin's run out." It was a shared language of warmth, understood in millions of homes, hibernating in the house. The final and most strategic move was tactical retreat. If you're not using a room, don't heat it. Simple. Many families would effectively mothball parts of the house for the winter. The door to the spare bedroom or the good front room would be closed, not to be reopened until the daffodils appeared. Entering one of those rooms was a shock to the system. A blast of still, icy air, and the telltale smell of damp. The grand unveiling of these rooms in spring was a major event. The first thing that hit you was that unique, musty smell. It wasn't just damp, it was the official scent of winter finally admitting defeat, and it was the starting pistol for the big spring clean. And there we have it. A dozen memories from a time that forged us. It shows a resilience and a quiet, uncomplaining cleverness that is truly something to be proud of. We didn't just put up with the cold, we had a system, a strategy, and a spirit that got us through. What about you? What's your number 13? What was your family's unique trick for staying warm? Please share your wonderful stories in the comments below. We would be absolutely delighted to read every single one. If this trip back in time warmed your heart, do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. Stay cozy and take care.